Right boys, today is pull. So as always, well not as always, that was a load of shit. I'm starting on a pull down. Now this is one of my favourite pull downs because I'm particularly good at it. And when we're good at stuff, we enjoy it basically, which makes perfect sense. People don't like doing things that they don't enjoy. But I enjoy this because I can actually do it and I can get stronger at it over time. My lats are one of my strongest body parts. So we are going to get cracking. This is 3 sets of 8 to 12. I've upped many of the movements from 2 to 3 sets because I just prefer it. That's how I want to train. Don't really give a fuck. If you don't like it, you don't have to do that, but I like it. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to load up a couple of plates to start off, probably warm up on 2 plates, maybe go to 3 or 2.5 for the working sets. So when you're setting up your lat pull down with a pronated grip, it's an upper back movement. So you've got your lat and then you've got your teres major. I predominantly feel that muscle when I'm doing this. So this muscle here is your teres and then this one's your lat. When you're doing it, you want to get your feet flat on the floor. So as you can see, my feet aren't flat. My knees are really bent to a point where I can't get my feet flat enough. So I need to drop the seat. So you want to get your legs as far under as you can. You want it to just sit above your knee though. So you don't want it here, because then you're going to have to lean back. You're going to go hands in the same place either side, whatever grip's comfortable. So when you pull, generally you'll want your hand directly above your elbow and you're not swinging, so just angle yourself back slightly, pull, let your shoulders come up. Yeah, so you don't have to lock your shoulders down like people tell you to. Let your shoulders come up, shrug, and then pull them back down, get a good stretch, and then that's it. What you want to avoid is the whole swinging thing. So swinging like this, forward and backwards, you don't need to move your body in that way. All you need to do is elevate your shoulders and then depress your shoulders. That's it, and then that's how you contract that muscle. Not sure what I did last time, 100, so we'll just stick with that. I didn't get my reps, so until I've got 312s with a certain weight, I'm not allowed to go up. Main your way. Alright. No more buying bottled water because I realised it was the biggest waste of money known to man. Why buy bottles when you can just fill one up from the tap? So stupid. Right, set 1. I need 12 on this one because I got it last time. At the minute, I've slowed things down a little bit. I'm still not someone who really enjoys the pauses because I just lose too much load. And the thing is as well, I don't care what anybody says, right? If you do not enjoy what you're doing, you are not going to stick to it. Because for me, that dead slow shit takes all the fun out of training. It takes the whole enjoyment side out of training for me. I just do not enjoy it. And people say like, oh, well, you should do whatever it takes to get the outcome that you want. And yeah, obviously there's going to be things that you don't like doing. Sometimes can't be asked training, but I'll still train. There's going to be movements you don't like doing that you still have to do. But you still want to enjoy the thing you do across the board. Like, otherwise you're not going to do it. People say things like, oh yeah, you know, like Kobe and Michael Jordan and, you know, footballers like Ronaldo and all these people, they do things when they don't enjoy it. It's like, yeah, they do hard things, but they still enjoy the sport. Otherwise, they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't have started doing it in the first place. So you've got to enjoy it to an extent. And it's these people that you just chat pure shit, try and get views. That was a good set, smooth. It's pretty easy to be fair, that. Nowhere near as hard as I thought it would be. See, I could go 3 plates, but I'm guilty of going up in weight too quickly. So that's what I'm trying to avoid at the moment. Which is why you're probably going to look at like the first 1 or 2 sets and be like, why you're not pushing it. But by set 2 and 3, you know, I'll be struggling to get the top of the rep range, which is the whole idea. Because otherwise what I'll do is I'll jump the weight up, I'll get like 6 reps, and then next session, I'm losing weight on the bar. So I'm trying to keep it in that range, you know, like whether it's the 8 to 12, 10 to 15, 15 to 20, whatever the exercise is or whatever the session is, I'm trying to always keep it in that range. So I only drop the weight if I need to drop the weight. You know, if I'm hitting the bottom of the rep range, then I'm going to drop the weight, yeah? So if I get 8 on my first set and it's at 8 to 12 rep range, I'm going to have to drop the weight to get in that rep range for the next set, but I try not to do that. Rest times as well on these sets, these early sets, relatively short. Start to get towards the back end, you know, when I've done set 2, a little bit longer, usually, to get maximum output. So that time it was only 11, but I got a rep on last time. So that's all you're looking for, you know, 1-2 reps, a tiny bit of weight, you know, an extra 2.5 kilos aside. It doesn't have to be a lot, but it's still progression. You do that over 6 months, you do that over a year, and you've achieved a lot in that time, and you're going to force your body to adapt. The thing is in the gym as well, like people say, oh yeah, it's 80% diet. Yeah, diet's important, but if you're not creating the stimulus for the body to adapt to in the gym, if you're not pushing the body, then there's nothing for the body to adapt to. And adding new muscle is an adaptation of the body. There's a reason why your body puts new muscle on, because it has to meet the demands of the new weights that you're lifting. That's how it works. So you place a new demand on the body has to adapt, and if it doesn't, you're never going to be able to get stronger. And that's what we're trying to do. You know, we're always trying to get stronger. We're trying to obviously not just do that, but we're trying to push the muscle past where it's currently limited to essentially taking the muscle out of its comfort zone to cause that muscle to adapt, which is why we use the food as then a tool to repair that muscle and build muscle faster. I've got one more, so the rest now will be a little bit longer because that set was harder than the first one. So usually 3 is enough. It's very rare that I'll go 4. Usually 3 hard sets is enough. You know, I'll do like 1 at the start. It's kind of like a feeder set, but it's not. You know, the sets progressively get harder. Something that I put massive emphasis on for clients is structuring the sessions well. Very important. Most people don't structure the sessions well. So they'll do, you know, a pull down movement like this, and then they'll go and do something completely random, like, you know, a cable pull over next, and then they'll go and do a barbell bent over row, a single arm dumbbell row, a single arm pull down. Like, they're just doing random order. There's no order, there's no structure to it. So we need a logical structure. Or what they'll do is, they can't get on a piece of kit, they'll go and do a bicep movement, and then they'll go back to the back again. Well, you can't do that because you need your biceps for your back work. So it's important that we stick to some kind of structure when we're training, and we're not just doing random shit. Okay, set 3. So what a lot of people will do when they get tired, they'll stop at half the rep. The hardest bit then was getting that muscle fully shortened and getting all the way down. So what you'll notice I'll do when things get hard, I won't just stop here and then go back up and then stop again. I'll make sure that I get that full range first before it goes back up. And then when I can't complete another rep, when you get to a point where you can't complete another good quality rep, that's when you're done. Don't do another rep and then lose the technique. It's just not worth doing. So make sure that every single rep is good quality. Now, a lot of people mistake good quality for slow training. Slow doesn't necessarily mean good. You can train slow and train poorly. You can train slow and not train hard. You can train slow and not put emphasis on the correct muscles. So it's important that we get the balance of control whilst lifting enough weight and whilst also simultaneously putting enough emphasis on the correct muscles in order to grow that muscle. So upper back row, so this is what I've chosen as my variation for the overhand chest supported row. Now, when doing an overhand row, you're going to try and hit your upper back to the best of your ability. In order to hit the upper back effectively, we've got to do something called retracting the scapula, which basically just means pull your shoulder blades together and bring your shoulders back. That's all it is. Now, a mistake that I often see, a couple of mistakes. Mistake number one is when people do it, the seat's not low enough, so they can't keep their elbows high. So the seat tends to be up here, which means the hands dip and the elbows come in. And then you'll end up hitting more lats, which we don't really want too much of. Another mistake that I see is when people get tired, the shoulders start to roll, which is bad. We need to keep that chest up really high, yeah? Bring the shoulder blades together and get a big stretch. And that brings me on to the third one. Third mistake that I often see is people not stretching out and letting the shoulders go. So what I mean by that is, I'll just do a quick warm-up set now so you can see. They're not letting this stretch happen, so they'll pull and they'll kind of like just keep it here in that shortened range. But you want to make sure that you're stretching and contracting the muscle properly. I'll pull this out a little bit more. You want to have to reach to get it off like that. Shuffle back in the seat, lean in. You don't want to lift off the pad. Yeah, so lean forward, pull, control. So one thing with this, people often can't breathe, which is another thing that I see. So seat's too high, not breathing properly. Ideally, what you want to do is on the eccentric, which is the easy part of the lift. So when I'm coming out on this movement, you want to take a big inhalation. Yeah, so breathe in and then exhale on the way out. Yeah, when you pull, which is the concentric portion. That's the difficult part of the movement. And that's the same pretty much on every single movement. It just depends on how slow your tempo is, because if the tempo is slower, so you do the reps slower, you're probably going to need more breaths. So weight-wise, I'm not going mega heavy. I'm going to try and get that 3 sets that I want consistent. Again, 3 sets top of the rep range and I'm done. Okay, so did something like 75, 65 last time. So I'm just going to try and get 3 75s, see what we can do. Sometimes if I'm on 2 different weights, I'll try and meet in the middle and I'll do 70, but we'll go 75. Right, I am going to go a little bit light because that was mega. Nah, let's stick with 75. I think I'll get 8 on that next one minimum, which is fine because that's my rep range. So I got 10 on that one. So one thing about me, particularly recently that I've noticed, and I'm not entirely sure why, you'll see me do a rep towards the end of the set and it just stops. And on certain things, and you know, in the past, I've been able to sort of push through that last rep, but it just doesn't seem to be happening at the minute, which is a bit weird. And you know, I always train to failure. Like, to me, that was failure then, yeah. I couldn't do another rep, but when you see some guys train, it's like they've got like 10 more, 5 more. But I think it comes down to the way they train, because for me, when I'm keeping that technique clean there, doing full range, getting a full stretch and contracting properly, bringing the shoulder blades together, all I can feel is my upper back. If I start cheating, then I'm naturally just going to bring in those synergists, those other muscles that are then going to help that big muscle, which you don't want. You want to hit the muscle you're supposed to be targeting. If you're hitting, you know, your lat and you're supposed to be hitting your upper back, something is not right, okay? So you need to adjust something. One thing, another tip that I give to people is elbows high on this movement. Everybody dips their elbows, like they pull and they start doing this with their elbows coming in. Elbows high at all times, it's so important. Right, it's going to be a long rest, this one. It's one of them where some movements you just need it. And the thing is with rest times, there's not like a set amount. You know, I started timing my rest times at one point, And some movements I needed another 2 minutes. So like squats, I need another 2 minutes. But then if I was on a rear delt fly or like a bicep curl or a lateral raise, it'd be down to a minute. So it was just like, it was always up and down. And as well, set by set, even though you want to keep your rest times consistent, sometimes you just need to get your breath back more. Like, you don't want to go into a set out of breath, because at the end of the day, bodybuilding, muscle building, we're trying to fatigue a muscle. We're not trying to get out of breath. The aim is not to get out of breath. I see a lot of guys like, oh yeah, I train super intense, bro. Like, I rest for 30 seconds. That's not intensity, because intensity is how hard you push the muscle. That's what intensity is in my mind. It's how hard is my muscle, the actual muscle itself, being pushed. If you're just going around the gym doing shit tons of volume, doing a minute off on everything, 45 seconds off on everything, set after set after set after set, I see that as intensity, as in it's hard, but it's cardio hard. And for somebody like me with not brilliant cardio, it's going to be useless in terms of putting muscle mass on me. So that's why I train in the way that I do. You know, I take whatever rest I need. I progress over time. I train within the generic hypertrophy rep ranges, because I tend to get injured outside of them, to be honest. And that's what works. So I'm going to carry on doing it. And it's worked very well. Like, my pictures from this year, I've not even been doing this style of training for long. And I've progressed quite a lot over the past 3-4 months. And my weight's not even moved. So things are going pretty well. I know this year's going to be a good one, because I've not cut now since 2023. So I'm going to do a 2025 cut. See what I look like, you know, see things I've been working, and then make adjustments to whatever needs adjusting. Okay, got 10 last time, so 8 minimum is the aim. That's not going again, no way. Decent. Concentric failure has been achieved. That's what we're looking for. Concentric failure. That's all you need. People overcomplicate it too much. Oh, time under tension. Yeah, but if you've not got enough tension on the fucking bar, time under tension is irrelevant. It's about something, what I would say is called magnitude of tension, the amount of tension you create. So yeah, you can create more tension with less weight, potentially. But if you look at the guys that train like that, they're still all very, very strong. So numbers do matter, and I'm not that strong, so I don't need to train like that, and I don't enjoy it. So, and I always justify it, because you look at most of the industry now, everybody, particularly coaches, not even influencers, just coaches, are doing all this like really slow stuff, and it just is not for me. And you know, I've voiced my opinion as to why that is numerous times. Different things work for different people. I've got some clients that do train a little bit slower, but that's what they enjoy doing. You know, they feel the benefit to it. I train with control. I train pretty much with continuous reps all the time, which is what I'm doing now. But I never really bounce out of the movement, which is something that you'll see. You'll never see me bounce out of the stretch. You'll never see me, you know, never get full range of motion. I'll always get full range of motion until my muscle is fully contracted and I can feel it, and then I'll come back out. Currently 20 minutes in, 2 exercises in. It takes me about 10 minutes an exercise. Obviously, this is with filming, so without filming, maybe a little bit less, like 8 minutes or something. I don't train for long at all. Today will probably take me about an hour. I've got shrugs, which is a little bit shorter rest. I've got a single arm seated cable row first, which I've just started doing. I can connect with my back quite well, but there's not many movements that I really like doing that I believe hit my back to its full capacity. Like, that hits it well, this hits it well. Seated cable row single arm hits it pretty well, but like, I need to start doing single arm stuff on my lats, because one side is a little bit less developed than the other side. It's nothing crazy, but it's a little bit less developed. So I'm going to start hitting one side a little bit more to try and catch up to the other side a little bit, because I do believe that I've got a slight imbalance. And one shoulder is actually higher than the other as well. So I think it's the left lat and the left shoulder that's higher. So it is what it is. Everybody's got imbalances. So I'm just trying to ensure that I do some sort of single arm work, which I've not really been doing. I'm not a massive fan of single arm work, to be honest. I do a bit of like arm single arm, but I like a lot of dual arm exercises, bilateral exercises where you're hitting, you know, both sides at once. I just prefer it. again, just personal preference, you know, no right or wrong with it. Again, it's like the tempo thing, no right or wrong, but you know, one thing I hear a lot as well is like success leaves clues. But then if you look at the guys that were the biggest ever, none of them train like that. None of them, which it baffles me as to why people think that is the best way to train. I know a lot of people do progress from it, and there's a lot of literature that suggests that it does work, but at the same time, a lot of these massive guys do not train in that fashion. There's a few that do, but not all of them. And in the past, there was hardly anybody. So if success leaves clues, look at the people from the past. They train probably more like this. And to be honest, they train faster with probably worse technique. So that was a long ass rest, but I needed it. What was that, like 3 minutes? My muscle's still fucked. This is why I don't need a lot of volume, because I can batter my muscle, because my technique's good. When you learn good technique, you learn how to hit a muscle properly. You don't need to do a lot. That's done, man. That's fucking done. I was thinking, like, I started the set and I was thinking, you know, it's just hard from rep 1. I was just thinking to myself, like, still got a full set to do here. So, single arm seated cable row. I'm just doing 3 sets, 8 to 12, keeping it simple, like I said before. One of the biggest things when it comes to getting lat development and targeting the lats that people don't do effectively is they don't drive the elbow to the hip. And when I say that, people don't really know what I'm talking about, but I'm going to show you now. Another thing to do as well is to twist away from the cable so you can stretch out your lat more. And when you do it, all you're going to think about is literally touching your hip with your elbow. Because if you do that straight away, you can feel your lat contracting. Can never get to grips on how to sit on the fucking seat though. And think about wrapping your elbow around your back now. There. So keeping your elbow in the whole time. So like round your back and down to your hip. There. Just to there. You don't need to go any further than that. And then really stretch it as you come forward. Let the shoulder go as well. That's another thing that I see. You've got to remember, like, if you don't let the shoulder come forward, you're not actually stretching out the muscle. And in order to effectively grow a muscle, you've got to stretch and contract it effectively. This is a little bit lower than your normal cable. So what you've got to do on here is sit more upright. Because if you don't, and you pull from down here, you're going to just end up targeting your traps as you're pulling from down or from low to high. So you've got to have a little bit more of an upright torso position in order to effectively do the movement. I'm going to go up in weight, hit 312s last week pretty comfortably, so I'm going to go 25 instead of 20. Not going mega heavy, just focusing on getting a good squeeze. I've done my heavy shit, so just making sure I'm contracting the muscle properly, getting a bit of a squeeze. And again, I've only just started doing it as well, so you don't want to go mega heavy at the beginning. Just go with whatever foot stance is comfortable. That feels about right. That's decent. Any more reps than that, and that's where control starts to diminish. So, still got 2 more to do anyway. I feel like the camera quality is a little bit better today as well. Usually it's gone a bit funny, the colour, but it's alright. So then just matching it, always start on your weaker side, and then match it on the other side. This is the side I can't feel. Yeah, it's a bit of a sketchy one, that. The right side, I do struggle to contract it, so I don't really have much of a mind muscle connection with my right side in terms of the back or the lat. The left side's dead easy, I can sort of just move the weight. That's one good benefit to pausing that I will point out. If you can't connect with a muscle, sometimes it can be good to really try and feel that muscle. And then once you've done that, you can start moving it continuously. That's something that I found works quite well from just doing it myself, to be honest. The pausing can help you with that mind-muscle connection. It can help you with that sensation. But again, sensation doesn't always mean growth. You want to pick stuff you connect well with, you get a good feeling on, you feel like it's doing something, but just feeling a muscle it doesn't correlate with growth. And I think another one of my videos that I put on social media, there was a bit of a misunderstanding on it, because I said something like, why does feeling not correlate to building muscle? And it doesn't. You need to contract the right muscle. Yeah, nobody's disputing that, but feeling alone will not build you new tissue. You can feel your muscles doing 100 reps with a 2 kilo dumbbell on bicep curls. Is it going to build new muscle? Nah, it's not, because you're not going to hit failure. You're not going to push the muscle. You're going to feel it, but you're not going to push the muscle. Yeah, and take that muscle to failure, which is important for growth, because we have to cause adaptation. And why would your body adapt? Why would your body adapt to something that it doesn't need to adapt to? This is number 2. A bit shorter on these rest times. What time are we on? 3:15. Need to get back really. I go like a neutral / semi-supinated grip, so like a diagonal sort of thing. A little bit too fast towards the end. I always use straps for pull work. I've said this so many times, but the last thing you want is your grip going before your muscle does. It's important to take the muscle to failure, not your grip to failure. We're not trying to train grip, we're trying to train muscle. Big difference. Oh, got sloppy towards the end again. So I'll just stay at that weight. Like, even if I hit 12 on the next one, I'll just stay at that weight now for a couple of sessions, because until those reps are clean, you should not go up in weight. So important to have control throughout the entire rep. So I was here, I was controlling it on the way out, and then I pull. Yeah. Standardized technique is also important, which means same speed on every rep. The only thing that changes towards the back end of the set is the speed of the concentric, because as those reps get more difficult, it's inevitable that as you try and move that weight, the reps are going to become slower. At the start of the set, yeah, it's easy to pull away. But as you get towards the back end, it's going to be more of a grind. Something that's important is that we still have the same control on the eccentric, which is on the way out, and the same control in the end ranges. So when it's all the way out, and then when it's all the way in. Until that point, you should not go up in weight. So if you're losing control on the eccentric, if you're losing control of the end ranges, don't go up in weight. Okay, it's important, because you'll rush, you'll go up in weight, you won't hit your reps, and you'll end up and down for ages, and then you won't progress. Okay, so it's important that we have that consistent increase in load and reps, but only when the technique is standardized. So the control was better that time. It was just hard to get it to that fully contracted position. So until you can hit standardized technique, top of your rep range, with control throughout the eccentric and the end ranges, you should not go up in weight. It is important. So on a lot of the single arm back movements or bicep movements, even tricep movements like single arm cable extensions, you'll have to use your other hand for stability. You want to be as stable as possible when training, because I always use the analogy of, you wouldn't, I'm trying to think of an example. If you're stood on a ball and you try and push someone over, you're going to fall over yourself. You can't produce as much force because you're unstable, yeah? Stay with me. So when you're training, if there's an aspect of instability, you're going to be able to produce less force. You can't produce force unless you're stable. The more unstable you are, if you were trying to do like, a high jump and jump as high as you could off the floor, and somebody pushed you while you were doing it, you won't be able to get as high because you're less stable, yeah? The same applies to lifting weights. Stability is important. Oh. So I'll do this in place of a dumbbell shrug because I'm not a massive fan of it. I feel like dumbbells get in the way. Just don't enjoy it. Feel like it's a bit shit. So I'll do this instead, which is an RDL plate loaded machine thing that I choose to use for shrugs. So I'm going to do one warm-up set and then 3 working sets of 10 to 15, 60 kilos, 70 kilos, nothing major, and just focus on getting a good squeeze because for me, that's an area that I tend to struggle with is like my traps and stuff. Right, 70 kilo I'm going to go with. I think it's going to crop my head out. That was like 15, 16. Feels good. Just doing this weird thing down my arm. Oh, hairline's being revealed. Who's coming turkey with me? 2 for 1 on hairlines or what? I always look round when I crack a joke. Because I just like, I need to put the mic somewhere better. Yeah, I always look around after I cracked a joke, me, because I always feel like people are listening or watching me. So I always like say something and then I look around like that. But I don't know why, because if I gave a fuck about what other people thought, I wouldn't be recording myself in gym, talking pure shits at camera. I need to hurry up, me. What time are we on here? 28 past 3. Right, let's get it. You can build muscle on any rep range, pretty much, if you're hitting failure and you progress your lifts. But what people don't realise is that when they're hitting 5 reps with a weight, then they end up going up that session, then they do the next session, and they can't progress because they've gone too heavy. And also, the risk of injury is so high, I think personally. Like, maybe not for some people, you know, if it works for them, but for most guys, including me, definitely including me, I will get injured for training that way because it's just so heavy. If I train really heavy, I get injured. I tried it for a bit. I've done it on and off for quite a while and just kept getting hurt. Even with good technique, like I've learned biomechanics, like, you know what I mean? So there's not really anything that I'm doing wrong or that I could do wrong because I've learned it all. But it just doesn't feel right. Like, it just doesn't, you know, when you're doing 3 reps and 5 reps and that, it just don't feel right to me. You've got to do what you enjoy, man. You know what I mean? Do what you enjoy. And I'm not saying train like shit if you enjoy it. I'm saying if you've got an effective training method in place and a strategy that's working for you, why would you change it? Makes no sense. Let's get it. Oh, last one, this. Not going that. Right, I got a naughty little arm superset. So all you're going to do, you're going to go single arm cable tricep extension, neutral grip, and then dumbbell preacher curl, which is going to stretch the bicep while simultaneously flexing at the shoulder. Okay. A curl like this does the opposite. So it still stretches at the elbow joint, but it also stretches at the shoulder joint. That only stretches at the elbow, yeah? So you're going to go, well, I'm going to go 10 to 15 on here per side, 10 to 15 on there. Now, in terms of rest times on here, it's just get your breath back. Because by the time you've got your breath back, the other side's recovered. So single arm on here, and I only did 10 kilos last time, and then 12 on there. It's 10 to 15 on both. So pretty much going to be going straight in back to back the whole time. Probably won't talk much on this one, but you can spectate. Arms are battered still from yesterday. Did chest and arms, and then today's pulling arms. Instead of doing all the volume in one session, I spread it out over the week. I just prefer it. There we go. So when you do these, actually grab the cuff and turn your body weight a little bit. So your forearm, your upper arm, and your shoulder all comes in line. And just try and feel your tricep, because I really struggle to connect with it. I can feel it now, but sometimes I can't. If you don't line it up properly as well, you can get something called joint binding. When the joints aren't lined up in the way that they should be, it's not happening, that one. I might have to just drop the weight a little bit so I can match it on both sides. Probably go 9 kilos instead. That was good. Pretty strong considering I only did them yesterday. But what I do is I'll just do less. So I'll do like a similar amount to today, not a lot of volume, and then do today, and then I'm off tomorrow. I've got legs on Friday, and then Saturday's push again, which is when I'll hit my arms next. So I've got a good couple of days off now. Right, back into curls. Curls for the girls. I'll do a front on angle. Make it a bit different than that, you know what I mean? Improvising ting. Not exactly, you know, a professional videographer. I try my best. 3. I'm surprised I got 2:15s then. That was good. Right, try time. Terrible light in there. 1, 2, 3. No, it's not going that. It's definitely not going. I was still alright. Still weren't too bad. I think we got like 14, so I'll just match it again. Yeah, leave it. So it feels a lot better on that right side, but then the left one's actually bigger than the right, so it's weird. Just hit and miss. Whatever you hit on one side, just match it on the other though, never go past it, because you'll end up with one side bigger than the other, and you'll have a permanent imbalance, and we don't want that. So you've got to try and make sure you hit both sides pretty equally. It's normal to have a weaker side. They'll be like, my right side's weaker, but I'm right-handed. But the thing is, you're not training your lat every time you throw a ball. You're not doing that kind of thing. You're not training your tricep in exactly the same place as you would an ear. You're not doing these movements, so just because you're right-handed at one thing doesn't mean you're going to be right-handed at absolutely everything. Right guys, I'm going to have to wrap it up there. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. The battery's going to die on the camera, so I have to go.